Awesome. Well, welcome to our meetup tonight, UX Research and Strategy here at Cisco. Having my slides. There we go. So, big thank you to our sponsors. One, Cisco for providing the space, and two, oh yeah, okay, yeah, so Kevin, go ahead and say a few things.
It's kind of funny that Tech Systems is also sponsoring this because I've been coordinating with Tech Systems for who here is from Tech Systems? But you visit them? Oh, okay. Well, I like Tech Systems, so that's cool. So Cisco here at this location, we do routing and switching to tech support and also the whole WebEx collaboration portfolio. Calling to one of the design on the design side of our WebEx portfolio. We get to work with all these devices that you're looking at tonight, and you'll get to see them in action and see some of the fun features that they have. And it's an honor to be able to host a meetup here, get some people in the door. Cisco hasn't typically been known locally for UX or design related efforts, so we're trying to use that and show you guys that there are design and research and all of those types of fun things happening here at Cisco.
Do you have hashtags too?
Yeah, so there's our basic hashtags like We Are Cisco. I can post them later. I can't remember what they all are. I also, since you brought that up, am the host of the Sketch Dallas meetup group. So if you're a Sketch user or if you have designers that you work with that are Sketch users that would like to join a meetup group, we typically meet the second Tuesday of each month, which is the same night as tonight. So we have a couple of our Sketch Dallas users here. Who have attended.
Awesome. Oh, awesome. Thank you.
We tried to bring some people together, and if you want to hashtag that one, it's Sketch Dallas. It's pretty simple. But that's about it. Next month, same time, same place, we'll be going over data visualization for design systems and showing you how to steal data and visualization and make it look like yours.
Cool.
That's good.
Yeah. Big thanks to Cisco. Thank you so much. All right, so the agenda tonight, we're going to do some introductions, let you know a little bit about our group here, any announcements that we have. We'll get to the big talk tonight, Mike Kendall, the value stream discovery loop, so that'll be awesome. At the end of all of our meetups, if you haven't been, we'll also do an Ask Me Anything where you can ask Mike or any of us any questions that you've got about UX research and strategy, so that should be fun. And at the end, we'll do a wrap and networking, so that's what the night will look like. All right, so first a little bit about UX research and strategy. We are dedicated to exploring topics related to these things, and we really, really want our group members to come away with tangible, tactical things that you can do at work or in your everyday life, trying to get a job, whatever it may be, right away. You can take these things that you've learned and apply them. They're not some nebulous theoretical thing, they're actual things that you can take. And that is what we're trying to do here. That's what we're all about. If you ever come to a meetup where you didn't get that, please let us know. We do send a survey after every meetup, and we ask that you guys all fill it out, give us candid feedback so we can take it and make it better for everybody. So these are the founders. I am one. I'm Lauren Singer. I work at Capital One as a design lead. I was previously a design strategist and a UX researcher. So I kind of get bored with one job and kind of move to the next thing. That's my MO. And we've got Jen Blatz. She's at Fidelity, a designer and UX researcher, and Lori Whitaker, and she stepped out of the room. And she works for GitLab. So we all used to work at Capital One together. That's how we met. We were made friends. Jen had the awesome idea to put this together. There's a lot of UX design meetups out there, but there weren't very many specifically focused on research and strategy. There was a gap in our community, and you guys have let us know loud and clear that it's something that was valuable to you guys. So that's why we're here. Great. We've also got some great chairs. We needed some help. Jen, Lori, and I couldn't do it all, so we've got some chairs on our team now. So we've got the volunteer chair, Vincent back there. You probably saw him checked in and get some things. So awesome. Thank you. Olu, social media chair. So he helps. If you walk around taking pictures for social social media. And we've got our sponsorship chair. She's not here tonight, but it's Sonia, and she helps us get things like food and locations for you guys to come and enjoy. So big thank you to all of these guys, and we couldn't do it without you. All right, so this is the fun part. Please connect with us on social media. You can get an understanding of what we're doing. All of our next events are going to be up there. We are doing a big push tonight for Twitter. So whoever follows us on Twitter gets a nice UX research and strategy sticker. So while you're doing that, just raise your hand and I'll walk around with stickers to give to you. The next thing we're doing, I'll let Jen talk about it, is connect on LinkedIn.
All right, so everybody get your phone out. How do you find it? First of all, if you're joining Twitter with us tonight, raise your hand. Lauren's going to give you a sticker. I'm a little bit of a push to get another. Got one over here, Lauren. So please follow us on Twitter. We have updates. We have content. We have updates and announcements and content and that sort of thing on there. And next, I want you to open up. Anyone else joining on LinkedIn? I mean, Twitter. Just raise your hand. Lauren will come over and bring a sticker.
Keep it raised so I can find you.
Let's all get connected to people who we're not connected to yet. So open LinkedIn.
They put a picture. Nice picture.
Yeah, so you're already on Twitter. You didn't even know it. So we got to get on there so you see what I'm putting up there about you guys. Everybody open the LinkedIn app. Is it open? Good. Go to the where is it?
My network.
My network. Thank you. I've only done this a million times. I always forget. Go to my network. Look at the little person on the bottom right. Click on that, and then it'll say find nearby on. Turn that on. And then the more people, let's take a few minutes to turn that on, and then you'll start to see there's people coming in. If you're not connected to somebody, there'll be a little person with a plus. Hit that. You'll start to connect them. I see Jennifer Corley. Yeah. See? Crystal Lamb. Where's Crystal?
So this is really important because you never know where your next job or opportunity is going to come from. We all connect together, see each other at meetups. You never know how you might get it in. So keep connecting, keep networking.
Anybody struggling to find this on their app? I don't think it works on just the website. I think you have to have the app on your phone, the LinkedIn app. Anybody struggling?
Can you repeat one more time?
So you go to, you got to be on your phone, of course. Go to My Network, this little person, find nearby, and then it'll start populating. So take a minute. There is video. It should just be This will be just a few minutes. Let's just take a minute. Everybody getting connected.
Any other Twitter sticker needers?
Anybody else join us on Twitter? Really appreciate it. Okay, so Lauren's going to go ahead and get started. Keep your LinkedIn open for another minute or two to make sure that everybody is connecting. And then somebody that you met tonight, go talk to them. Go introduce face-to-face now that you're connected on LinkedIn. So I'm going to pass it over to Lauren. Keep it open for a second so that you get to connect to smart people.
All right, so I'm going to talk about some upcoming events we've got. We have 3 here in our career series, which are awesome. One is create a UX portfolio webinar with Lori Whitaker. It's going to be great, February 27th. We've got a portfolio review with a UX pro, so you can actually schedule time to go sit with someone for an hour one-on-one and kind of either brainstorm what your portfolio is going to be or review and get some feedback on it. It's going to be great. And we've got a master job interview questions webinar with Jen Blatt, so that's also going to be coming up. Then we've got just our normal other 2020 events. We've got World IA Day, which is going to be focused on card sorting. I've got more information about that. Design Thinking with Eric Ellis, a night with Deborah Gilman, and a whiteboard workshop. So these are all basically February, March, April timeframe. A lot of good stuff. Mark your calendars. Check out our Eventbrite, Facebook, our website, and anything that will tell you the details. All right, so this is just some more information about World IA Day. It's going to be a Cognizant, a half-day workshop, February 22nd. We are going to have Adam Polanski and John Sarmiento facilitate the session, but it's really awesome. We're going to get Donna Spencer in, who's like the queen of card sorting. She lives in Australia, and she's going to do a virtual Q&A at the end. So you're going to go through a card sorting activity, hands-on workshop, and then get to talk to basically the queen of card sorting at the end. Very awesome. Huge, huge thing for us here. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that's on a Saturday. Like I mentioned before, create an awesome UX research portfolio. That's some tips and tricks and helpful things to know with Lori online as well. And design thinking is bullshit. I don't know how to pronounce the star, so I'll just say it. And long live design thinking. So kind of that dichotomy there, March 3rd at 6 p.m. at Capitol Factory. So that's downtown Dallas. All right. So little poll. Who here has never been to a UX research and strategy meetup before? Never? Wow, that's a lot of you guys. Thank you so much for coming and welcome. I love to see new faces. So if someone could just shout out, like, what brought you here? What made you want to come tonight?
Meetup app, saw UX UI design.
Cool.
Yeah,
So just searching for meetups related to it. Awesome. Anyone else want to share?
I just want to get better at UI UX design. I thought strategy would help me do that.
Okay, so strategy kind of give you some influence to get better at that skill. Okay.
General education.
Awesome. General education. One more.
Location.
What?
Topic and location.
Topic and location.
Remember this one at Cisco before?
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Did y'all see all the glass out there? Beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. I get talked about it a lot.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Tricky. 90s kid. All right. So without further ado, unless there's any other announcements,
Does anybody have any announcements?
all right.
Anybody looking for a job? Okay, anybody hiring? If anybody's hiring, talk to that guy. All the people who are looking, go to him. You're hiring as well? Okay, everybody see that? That's who you're gonna be hitting up guys in a bit. Speak.
I got cards.
All right. Yeah.
All right. So we've got Mike Kendall here talking with us tonight. Super big honor to have him here. I've worked with him at Capital One several times, and it's just mind-blowing the things he can teach and the tactical skills. He's managing director of the customer lab and then customer experience lead and senior impact coach at Moves the Needle. So welcome, Mike, and you can take the floor.
This is how we make a smooth transition or anything.
I just want to make sure I'm in the right.
Anybody need any more notices or snacks? I'm getting one, so here's your time.
Good to go. I think this is on pay-per-view right next to a heavyweight fight, so let's see how many people at Cisco can round up for us online. Really happy about is that it's not a video of my face on 200 screens. It'd be a little disconcerting. I'm going to start. You guys can follow along on one of these many monitors, but there's nothing probably worse that a Texan hates more than weather like we've been having this week. If we can't wear shorts and flip-flops or hang out on the patio in a Tex-Mex restaurant, I think we start to get kind of even tomorrow.
Meeting is being recorded.
Maybe it'll get sunny, but we're going to try to put some sunlight in tonight. We're not just going to sit here and listen to my talking head, because then you guys would rather be out in the drickery rain, I think. But I definitely want to take what we do kind of for our clients and cram it into as little time as we can, get you guys working at your tables. We did this similar workshop for, I think, 250 women in a giant ballroom in Houston at the Grace Hopper Conference a couple of years ago, and had people coming up to us. I'm setting the bar way too high because I probably should tell you everybody hated it and then you'll love it. But we had people from Google and Amazon and Nordstrom and a couple other places that said, wow, and they're mostly product managers. My team just had a huge breakthrough. And we're like, yes, that was so cool to see people like just show them a tool, get them trained on it a little bit, and then get them working together. So hopefully some of you will have some kind of breakthrough today. Just a little bit about me. I'm not a native Texan, but my wife is, so I kind of have grafted into the vine a little bit. But when we moved here, I guess I was 7th grade. I remember going to school and coming home and asking my mother, Mom, what's a Yankee? Because all the kids are calling me that. It doesn't sound like a compliment. And their definition, and this is up in Sherman, Texas, like near the border of Oklahoma, their definition of a Yankee was anybody that was from north of the Red River. So New Jersey was like way out there. But originally from Chicago, then I ended up in Ohio, New Jersey, and down here with my dad's job. And once you get all that cold air out of your body, you can't really go back. So, I've had people want me to move to Wisconsin or Minnesota for jobs. I'm like, sorry, I can't do that. But my job career has kind of been a weird one. I started in human resources, recruiting and hiring and firing people back in the days of technology when it was fiber optics and kind of pre-internet. And so it was just a different world back then. But I ended up in Citigroup for 12 years. And got recruited out of HR. I was kind of tired of firing people, and to what we call business excellence, which was sort of the precursor to a lot of what we're doing now. It was more about operational efficiency, but my kind of frustration with it was, hey, this isn't based on the customer, so how can we start bringing that voice of customer into what we're doing? And kind of quickly after that, I got recruited into a couple startups, and I was at Intuit for 6 years, which was sort of back then really on the cutting edge of ethnographic research and going out. We did what we call follow me homes, and would try not to in a creepy way, go spend time with people and watch them use our products. And so learned a lot there, a lot of Stanford D School type of background and IDEO and sort of all the usual suspects in that field. But it was a great learning experience. And then I moved from that to Humana, which was a 50-year-old insurance company that had never heard of any of this crazy stuff. And so I remember we created an innovation lab and wanted to take these people out and go talk to our customers on the streets of Louisville, Kentucky. And the legal folks and the compliance folks just freaked out and said, you can't go talk to customers, you'll get arrested. And what are you talking about? And they kind of had a little bit of basis because half of our business was with the military, and we literally had to get approval through the Pentagon to go talk to these customers. So we had a few hurdles. So kind of dealt with a lot of highly regulated businesses. And now after some time at Capital One, jumped out on my own a few years ago, 3 years ago now, I guess, to do my own consulting thing, and then working with some friends from Intuit that started as a needle. And really our goal is trying to bring this entrepreneurial spirit that you see at startups into the big companies, and using a lot of customer-centric design tools to do that, but also getting rid of all that bureaucracy that usually kind of squashes great design, and helping people that are designers figure out how to do that, how to interact with leaders that maybe aren't thinking like Shark Tank sharks do, right? They're thinking more like Roman emperors that think they know everything and are going to cut your head off if you don't do the right thing. So when I'm not traveling around and doing my job, which I love, my wife and I love to travel, so we're trying to kind of combine work. That's her, I think that was hiking in Switzerland. I'm kind of a frustrated drummer. I actually had a music degree or a music scholarship and decided that maybe that wasn't going to be the most profitable pathway to success. So still do it on the side. As we were talking earlier, I would get hired to go over to Russia every so often and play at music conferences and different weird things, but where they actually want me to teach some of this stuff too through interpreters, which is kind of a trip. And cycling when the weather's not like this, if it's below 70 degrees, I'm in the gym or just sitting in front of the TV eating cookies. But otherwise, I love to be out on the road on a bike. So I mentioned Moves the Needle, really helping big companies try to act more like startups and do the right thing for their customers and learn rapidly. And there's a bunch of companies we've helped all over the globe, so it's an exciting place to be. What I'll talk about tonight is what we call lean innovation, which is sort of a hybrid of design thinking, which I guess is, I don't remember what the title of the guy's book was, but I have kind of had my issues with the term design thinking anyway. But you kind of get the genre of what it is, agile and then lean startup. And so most places I go, they know what agile is, they know what design thinking is. They're not too familiar with lean startup, but you'll practice some of those things tonight. So one of the things to me that when you have to level set sort of what is design or what is innovation with your executives, to me, it always starts with the customer. It starts and ends with the customer, not the person in the corner office or the highest paid person in the room, but can you deliver value and value as defined by the customer? Are they willing to pay for that, tell people about it, go out of their way to get it? And everybody has a customer. So sometimes people, when I'm in these big bureaucracies, like in an insurance company, like I never talk to a customer, or my product never gets to a customer. It's an internal product. Somebody's a user of that. So whether they love it or not, if it's a monopoly internally, it's what they still want to do it if they have an option or not. So somebody's got a customer, and you're really trying to figure out how do I create new value in their eyes. And the thing that a lot of folks don't think about when they're doing this is that there's sort of this two methods of running a company, right? You've got sort of what most companies, big companies, are really good at, which is this idea of execution. How do we lower costs? How do we improve efficiency, speed things up, do more with less? All of those things are kind of operating in this world of the known, right? It's like, well, we need to cut budgets. We need to reduce calls, whatever it may be. If that's true and you already know all the variables, that's a pretty easy thing. You're just measuring tasks and efficiencies. But a lot of what we do when we're designing for customers isn't that clear cut. It's really kind of fuzzy. And it's more in this unknown world where you need to experiment more and you need to get evidence from customers and you need to practice. And anybody watch Shark Tank religiously or occasionally? What's the question that you always get if you go into them and say, hey, I'm really passionate about my idea and it's going to be huge. And what do the sharks ask?
Have you made money?
Have you made any money? Right. What else do they ask?
Why should I buy your product?
Yeah. Are there customers buying this thing, or how many customers do you have? What's your growth look like? That's all evidence based on this search mentality. Those sharks have no idea that you have a proven concept or a proven business model. They're looking for evidence or impact that somebody out there really has this problem. You've got a really good solution for it, and you found a way to deliver that solution, hopefully at scale. Those are different questions than how do we cut costs or how do we speed up our production line. Any of those things are more the execution mode, which big companies are good at. They're not so good over here. And as a leader, you really have to start thinking differently and asking different questions like a shark. So a lot of the work that we do and the tools that we teach are trying to help people figure out, are you in search mode? You don't have a lot of evidence. How do you go get it? And I remember at Capital One, one of the things that one of the leaders asked me, they said, what do you think the biggest challenge we have? And I said, we need to assume we're wrong more. The more times you get really good at something and you start to see market results, then you start to assume everything you think you're going to do is right. But anything that's new going out, especially if you're going to spend money on it, is going to you have to ask that question, how do we know? What's the validated customer learning that we have to do that? And I remember working with a guy at, anybody ever seen these like $13,000 refrigerator that you buy for like a luxury house and it's installed in the wall? You can't buy this thing at Home Depot, right? It's, really fancy refrigerators. This was a big division of, I think it was GE at the time. I think they're changed now, but we were working with the general manager of that appliance division, and they totally missed on the French door trend, the two doors that sort of open with no bar in the middle on the sort of consumer models. But they said, we don't really know if people will pay for the big fancy ones with the double doors. And if they will, what do they really need? The problem they had, which was this unknown area, was it takes them literally 3 years from concept to store, because they've got to go through, and you don't think about it, but there's like freon or coolants in these things. So you've got EPA regulations and government approvals. You have to retool the plant, which costs millions of dollars to build a new manufactured good like that. And they're just betting 3 years out that maybe we're going to be right. So he has this crazy idea, and sort of helping him with is saying, maybe if we could get like a prototype built, really scrappy. We use the term scrappy but not crappy at Intuit or at Capital One all the time. It's like, how do we get this thing out there quickly, test the market, change it if we need to, iterate on it, and then decide as we go, we're going to fund it. And so he's, Jeff Immelt was the CEO at the time, and he's pitching Immelt right after another group that had big consultants and fancy spreadsheets. They wanted like $20 million to build some new business thing. And they got approval with no customer evidence, right? But they had great projections, good PowerPoint decks. So he comes in there and says, hey, I need 10 grand, and we're going to by hand build these machines and give them away to like 50 customers and learn from them. And they're like, oh, I don't know, that's pretty risky. Why would we give you? He said, you just gave them $23 million with no evidence. I've actually had a few customers come in here and they've told me things like, hey, I don't want white plastic on the inside of my $13,000 refrigerator. I want stainless steel or copper or something. So he said he's learning, but it's not the norm in most companies. So what we recommend when it is an unknown area is to really focus on these 3 E's, empathy, experimentation, and evidence. So and I think you guys are probably preaching to the choir, but you need to start with customer empathy, and that's not just a research survey. I remember at Humana, we spent about 4 days with about 45 people from frontline call center to senior VPs, teaching them these tools and then sending them out on the streets of Cincinnati to get empathy from customers. And when they came back, they had about 80 different problems across all our businesses that they were pitching to senior leaders. And I remember one of the executives saying, you know, we just spent, it was $250,000 with Deloitte in 6 months for them to do this big market study. And you guys came up with 80% of it in 4 days by going out on the streets, talking to doctors and people that are, you know, at lunch having a beer or whatever, just about their health care. And so using that ethnographic approach or that empathy where you feel their pain, you know there's a real problem there that you think you have some kind of solution for, that you can start experimenting on, and then you can build a hypothesis, look at all the risks you have to de-risk and the assumptions, and then use that evidence to go pitch to your leaders to get evidence for your products. So this tool kind of fits within that context that we call the value stream tool. And those of you that came out of a marketing background, when you see it, you may say, oh, this is just a marketing funnel. It's very different because we're using a lot of this design lean startup kind of approach with the funnel. So it's really about, if you think about it, you believe that a customer's got a problem and you need to see if they have any interest in your solution or not. There's something you need to do as a business to start getting interest, to get them to the point where they would purchase, to get to the point where they would use, and then hopefully be passionate about coming back and telling others. But so there's things you have to think about of like, how do I prove that's true? Assume you're wrong in each of those stages. What do I have to do as a company or as a designer to evoke a behavior that I can then go measure? So that's pretty at the heart of it, what this tool is all about. And each of those phases, and if you think about any product you buy, how many of you guys are Apple AirPods owners or users? A few, like two or 3 years ago, I asked that, like everybody's like, those things are stupid looking and they're expensive. And man, I just actually bought my second pair of Gen 1 because the first one, the battery conk, you can't replace the battery, but I wasn't going to spend all the money on the other one. But I was very skeptical at the time. You know, you see people in New York walking around with them. So you start to become aware of it, right? And you're like, well, that doesn't affect me at all. I'm not even interested. I'm just going to go about my day and criticize those crazy things. And but then you start to say, well, maybe I'm getting a little intrigued as you start to see more people using it, or you talk to somebody that says they like it, or you see the ad with the guy on a skateboard doing upside down flips and it doesn't fall out. Because my skepticism was kind of rooted in them falling out. You know, I thought, well, why would I have that if I'm on an airplane and it falls down between the seats and I never see it again? And $80 to replace it or whatever they would charge me. So I start to get a little intrigued, and I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. I'm going to the Apple store to see if I can try them on. And they had like a sanitized version that you can try on. And I literally went like this and shook my head and they didn't come out. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. So that was like number one, distrust. Number two was the call quality is going to be crap because I wanted to use them for conference calls with my clients. So I told the guy, I said, you get on them and you call me and you talk and I want to listen. And it sounded really good. And it's okay, well, maybe I'm starting to move from intrigue to trust. But I still wasn't convinced yet. So I thought, well, I'll give it a little more research, read some online surveys, and then and you can tell I'm not like a spur of the moment shopper, right? I don't go out and buy a car on a whim, right? So, but then I get convinced and say, okay, crap, I'm going to become one of those guys with the dorky white things in their ears. And I buy the pair. And I'm hoping, like I spent, I don't know what it was back then, $100 and something. But I spent the money and I thought, man, it's going to be a waste of money. You can't get your money back if they don't work. So I'm hopeful, but I'm not satisfied yet. And so then I just start using them on conference calls every day, and I'm traveling with them. And, you know, I saw somebody at one of the airports I was at that had a little rubber case with the carabiners stuck on their backpack. And I thought, well, that's a pretty cool way to keep track of them so I don't lose them. So I'm getting hopeful, but I'm starting to get satisfied now, right? Because they're starting to work for me. They're delivering on this promise that everything Apple says is magical. And you're like, a lot of it's got to be BS, right? It can't all be magical. But I was starting to feel like, hey, this kind of is magical. And now I'm like telling all you, and I've told a bunch of other people that I'm pretty passionate about it. I'm still a little skeptical about the new ones because I'm not sure how comfortable they'll be. But supposedly they have like an air release vent for airplanes. Who knows? I'm probably right here with the new ones yet, not ready to buy them. So, but does that make sense to you guys? Because there's behavior that Apple could have witnessed in me to know where I was on this journey and been able to measure it and start to think, well, what do we need to do to get Mike from knowing about it to actually being interested in it and then trusting and buying? But it's not over there, right? That's like the marketing sales funnel. But then there's this passion, loyalty, grow the business funnel over here, which is he can't just be convinced and buy it. Now, there's some companies that are sort of bad about just taking your money and then screwing you, but that's not how to survive in business. You want them all the way over here, be loyal promoters, telling all their friends, spending more money, buying more Apple products. So think about where you would say, what does Apple need to do to move me all the way across that funnel? And simply, that's part of what the tool is at each of those stages, defining the customer's behavior that you need to be able to witness to prove they're at that stage. What business activity do you need to take to get them to that stage? And then what metrics are observable? What ways can you prove that they're really there? And assuming you're wrong all the way around that loop. So any questions so far?
Good question. So, will you share your slides online or?
Yes, I'll share a link to download them if you like.
Okay.
Happy to do that. So yeah, just catch me afterwards or I'll shoot them over.
We'll put them on our
Website.
website.
Yeah, we'll post them on the website.
Okay.
Is it better to have a fan base or a customer?
Have a what?
A fan base or a customer?
A fan base.
Because that's how I
A fan base that doesn't buy anything would have been like Tesla in the early days, right?
Sure.
You know, it's like, oh, wow, they're great. And as long as Wall Street's happy, maybe you're happy, but you don't really create a sustainable company that doesn't make profits. So, yeah. And it depends on your business too, right? If I'm in selling industrial equipment, probably not, social may not be my biggest way to go. If it's a consumer product or it's a rock star or some brand, how do I get people excited about it? And the Super Bowl, anybody watch the Super Bowl this year? I don't know if I was impressed or disgusted by the integration of the marketing, right? So, there's like people in the game that are wearing the logos, and the guys from the ad are at the game, or, the tweets are happening in real time as the ads are blasting out. So it's a little bit almost overwhelming, right? I think one of my favorite, and this gets back at sort of authenticity, and the younger your customers are now, it seems like more they have to believe in their cause more than their product. But when REI a few years ago said, hey, we're shutting down the website and the stores on Black Friday, and our mission is to go and be outside, all y'all get outside. And maybe the baby boomer parents of the millennials or Gen X that wanted to buy them something at REI got ticked off. I'm like, why aren't you open? But the people that were truly in their target loved it. And the next day when they opened, sales went crazy because people rewarded them for following up on their mission. Awesome. So we're going to do I'll give you a little mini case study, and then we're going to do a real case study on either what you've got going on at your companies, or I'll give you a kind of a teaser one you can use. But how many of you have stayed at an Airbnb? The number just gets bigger and bigger. It's crazy. I don't know if they're going to peak, and now they're so big, people are starting to get a little worried about them. But Years ago, everybody's like, I don't know, this is kind of a risky thing, but they started with, guys on air mattresses on the floor of an apartment in San Francisco because all the hotels were sold out. It was a big conference in town, and people from all over the globe were trying to get there, and there was nowhere to go. And they kind of stumbled on this need that people had to kind of have this local experience. If you ever listen to How I Built This with Guy Raz podcast, look that one up because it's a really good one if you haven't heard the whole origin story on this one. But they really had this idea that it was more than a hotel room or a place to sleep, though. The value proposition was more about, hey, I want a locals experience while I'm there. So if you think back about Airbnb, and this funnel has to change over time, right? The loop gets different as the product gets different, as the customer gets more savvy. Nobody knew what the heck they were or trusted it at the beginning, but then as they started to know, they had different challenges and different activities that they had to take. So if you think about the very first one, how do you get people aware of Airbnb back in the day when nobody had heard of them? They started doing just crazy little ads on Craigslist. People that needed rooms in high volume. They thought, I think it was Austin maybe, they went for South by Southwest was their next big test to see if we could drum up some business down there, because maybe they thought the hotels would fall down there. But it started to kind of target people that wanted a local experience. And the behavior they were looking for is people clicking on the list, Craigslist ad, and then going to the browser to look at the listing. And they just looked at simply listing browsed by source as their metric to get awareness. So then you start thinking about intrigue. Okay, so I got them to look at the page. They now know we exist. They have to start selling them on, hey, it's inexpensive. You get to stay with a local. And they started to change that pitch over time, where it was more of a home experience. Then it was an experience, right? It wasn't just the sleeping, but you could go to an event or do some kind of thing that was unique in that city. And then that's why we're Airbnb. Now they're in the trust business, right? Like, why should you trust us more than a hotel or somewhere else? So the FAQs on their website and the About Us part was really what the behavior was they were going for, is to get them to do research. And then the percentage of people hitting it from Craigslist for where they were going to measure it. Trusting, so you're asking, would Airbnb starting to put articles out or just getting press on what they're doing, and looking for people that are starting to click and actually request to book at this point. So before they were just checking it out, now they're actually trying to book a room. Yep.
There's another angle to that too. They also have to market to hosts.
Yeah.
So it's not just the consumer of that.
Yeah, I don't have this. There'd be a separate funnel, and this is a platform business, right? So Airbnb is the platform and not the provider of the value or the creator of the value. They have to bring those two together to create the value. So you essentially have to double all this stuff and say, well, how am I going to attract people to host? How am I going to get them to be good hosts and to want to keep doing more? So you kind of have to double your effort with the platform. I did an engagement in Amsterdam a couple of years ago with a big bank, and they had an innovation challenge on the platform businesses and saying, how can we disrupt ourselves in the way that Facebook or Airbnb or Uber is doing? And we have basically doubled all of our, or tripled sometimes, our tools, because you had this interplay between the provider of the value and the consumer of the value. Sometimes the consumer is the provider as well, so you have that double loop. Yeah. A good point. So on this one for trusting, are they looking to actually go ahead and start taking action to book? Are they getting on and putting their credit card information in? This is a key one for anything you're doing. If you're selling a product, ask for money. Before you even have the product. We do this all the time with our clients where they don't have the product yet, but they'll come out and go to a mall with some sort of tablet and say, hey, we're with this new pharmaceutical company and blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'd love to have that. Oh, here it is right here. You want to buy it? And, you've got some static in the system because they might say, hey, you guys are just guys with jeans on and, we don't trust you. But and maybe they pull out their badge from a big company like, oh, you are legit. Okay. But how do you get evidence or currency that this is real? And not just, oh, they said they would buy it, or they said they would use my mobile app. You're looking for evidence that they really did try to, without any kind of pushing on your part. So real evidence from real customers. And this one, the metric here is they're actually filling out the application to get signed up to use the system. So next then, if you've got them that far, you need to get them convinced to actually spend the money. So they've got these safety guarantees and they've got social proof of views. When I was at Intuit, we had people that wouldn't use TurboTax because they thought they'd go to jail if they screwed up their taxes. So we overcame that with the promise of backing you up on an audit, and then help move some of those people all the way to the convinced part of the loop. But the behavior you're looking for here is they actually book the room. You could say you're going to, you could put your credit card in, but you could back out at the last minute and go to the Marriott. They're looking for people who actually show up. And then how much money are they getting from that path? You know, are people showing up and paying? And then if they have, then you want to say, are they really hopeful that they're going to get the value? So this is actually, for them, was kind of unique because they wanted the host to actually talk with the guest before they got there, or when they first got there, and make that connection, because that was what was unique about Airbnb versus Marriott or somewhere else. It was a real local person, and they were staying at their home. So they measured that through the communication channels between the host and the guest. They were satisfied, then this is saying, hey, they had a great experience. If you can't get them to satisfied, those of you that do any work with Net Promoter Score know that like a 6, 7, 8 are not really satisfied to the point of being passionate. They're just sort of hanging out in the middle waiting to see if they want to back off or not. So, but you got to get them here before you can make them passionate. So they're now building a minimum viable product. So all that other stuff was sort of commercialization, testing to see how I would attract customers. I don't have to have a real product at that point because I can fake it. But once I get to this point, I have to have a guy that has air mattresses on the floor or a house that people are willing to open their doors to. So the MVP for Airbnb was kind of accidental. It was these guys in San Francisco, and people showed up and actually paid. So they're like, let's keep testing this thing. Maybe we'll learn more. And then you start to say, okay, well, what's the behavior? They stay more than one night. They come back and rent again. So kind of minimal still, you know, they're a customer now, they're using your product, they're going to come and repeat. And then they had a metric that said they had to get them to rent 3 nights every 6 months where they really weren't satisfied. Slack, I think, I don't remember the number. Anybody use Slack? It's kind of ubiquitous now. You guys have a Slack channel, so shout out. I think there are only 31 members on there when I joined, so sign up.
Thank you, yes.
But yeah, so then Slack had some, I think you had to have 100 messages between a team within a certain amount of time before that it was stick. Otherwise, they would just say, oh, that's another thing I don't want to deal with. I got enough channels already. So figuring out that threshold of when are they really satisfied is really important. Then you can start moving on to how do I make them loyal or passionate and becoming a promoter. And this is really for Airbnb was like pushing the brand more and making you feel good about it. I think that the example with REI of shutting down on Black Friday was a great example of taking somebody that was satisfied with REI to be passionate about REI, right? Because they're like, man, they just did something that cost them a lot of money. Capital One used to talk about walking away from fees and all these things that banks always do to gotcha. We walked away from millions of dollars doing that, but it made people loyal because they felt like we had their back. So what are you doing for the customer to get that trust level to that point? And here, the great thing about somebody that's passionate is they're telling other people for free. They're like a marketing engine for you. They're filling out reviews, they're online communities sharing things. They start to become a host now, and it becomes this upward virtuous cycle. And it's this viral coefficient for a platform which you really need. So, does that make sense to any of you guys? Or yeah, still with me? Awesome. All right. So this is way too small, but I'll share one with you here in a second. This is kind of the loop we use on the wall. We have a big poster that we usually work with teams, or we'll throw it in the mural or something if we're doing virtual teams. But the way to think about it is the same phases I just showed you: aware, intrigued, trusting, convinced, hopeful, satisfied, and passionate. But the way you think about it, this is sort of like your marketing funnel over here. Then you've kind of got this MVP over here where you're taking somebody from hopeful to satisfied. You're testing out your product basically before you go rebuild your factory, spend millions of dollars to make these refrigerators. You want to test it first. And then up here, it's really this whole right side of the loop becomes this growth engine for you. You know, it's great that you can attract or create the fan base, but if they don't come over here and start actually behaving like a loyal, passionate customer, your business doesn't grow. And a lot of these speculative Silicon Valley startups haven't gotten over there yet, right? They've convinced Wall Street that they're going to grow and they're getting all this venture capital, but they haven't proven it yet. And that's why I love Shark Tank, because they're looking for proof, right, before they put their money down. And they don't care that other VCs have thrown a bunch of money at it. They're trying to be, you know, sort of a rational pitch person. And if you're on the inside of the business and you're a designer, you've got to be able to show real customer evidence to your leaders that are going to give you the capital to go grow that product. And this is just a zoom into the tool. So this is for the aware section. You're basically taking Post-it notes as a team and saying, what customer behavior do we need to observe to know that they're actually aware? What business activity or tactic do we need to take as a team or a company to make that behavior happen? And how will we know it when we see it? How will we measure it? So pretty simple. Where you start in the loop varies based on where you are in your design cycle, or what type of business you're in, or if you're a platform or not. So you kind of have to, I like starting with 7 to 1 instead of 1 to 7. But sometimes if you just have, you say, hey, I've been out observing customers, they've got this problem. I think I have a solution, I have a hypothesis about what I need to go test, and look at all these risky assumptions I have to prove true or false. That's kind of over here in this world. So you might be playing around with MVPs and testing. And I worked with a client in Europe last year that had, I think it was 10 or 15 countries. They had one country that had launched a mobile app, and they were going to take it to the rest of Europe, basically. So they brought all these product folks in, and we were starting to use these tools, and they're starting to say, oh, well, this product was in Germany, but that product, it's a healthcare product, doesn't sell in Russia that way, like through marketing. You have to go through the doctor there. Or, oh, well, in Portugal, it's totally different. You have to go through these pharmacies. So they were doing just this side of the loop, which was, hey, we've proven the product works in one place. We now need to go prove that we can commercialize it and get people to know about it and take action to buy it in another place. So it's a more easy to read, simple version of it. It's more of a diamond. I'm kind of linear, so I like the circle, but you can use either one. So we're going to take a few minutes just to practice this, see if you really got it. If you are here with your own team from the same company, you can use your own situation. If you are not here, if there's a bunch of different people at your table, we'll use Joanna. And Joanna's a single mother. She is a product development professional, so she has some inside knowledge. And this, by the way, was a bit predictive. This was before this product was even offered. When we thought of it as an example, but she frequently is in a hurry. She's tech savvy. She likes consistency, and she wants her kids to eat healthy. What I want you to notice about that is it doesn't say how old she is or what other sort of demographics are. It's a behavioral profile. So when you zoom in on the customer, you want to know who they hang out with, what they do, what they like, what they don't like, because you could just as easily have a grandma as a single mother that's young with a similar profile. So the problem is she can't find the time to shop for food. She's tried online services, not happy with the quality. She thinks the price is too high. So we are Walmart, if you choose to use this as your example, and we have understood this problem, this customer, and we're going to try to build a product for her that involves picking up food at the store. So customer problem solution, you have an assumption that she will like your solution, but you don't know. If you've got your own table with your own folks, you can create your own version of that. So we're going to use your tables as your teams. You're going to put yourself in Joanna's shoes and identify. Normally you would have gone out and talked to Joanna, spent a day in the life, done a lot of ethnographic or empathy research first. But assume you've done that. Identify her behaviors for the 7 stages. So what customer behavior has to happen at all 7 stages for Joanna to get value from your product. And then you can do that for your other product as well. But pick one. Either pick Joanna or pick one from your company. But you're only going to have 8 minutes, so you don't have a lot of time to make up a case. But any questions before we set the timer? You should have a loop at your table and some post-it notes and a marker or 2. So anoint a note taker and a facilitator and a timekeeper. And you understand you're putting just the customer block, what behaviors you can see. I'll be pulling around, let me know if you have questions.
She's aware of those things. What she, where does she ocean products like
Pick up certain
What did you say?
their pickup section.
Which thing?
thing as the yeah, I remember it. I remember it because I she sees Walmart shopper and she sees these pop up. She has to change
Yeah.
well, most inexpensive.
Is it a website? And
Yeah, I guess it's for sure. I mean, that would be. Maybe I've got it.
Let's get too hung up on anyone. You've only got 8 minutes.
But she's
were you trusting them?
On the product or that she's actually
Seeing someone that looks for.
Five minutes remaining.
Yeah, when she said
No, you go expecting to convince.
I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, I'll try it out. I'll try it out.
Her first.
or she's satisfied when she's able to return, she goes back and actually like when she's returning which is hopeful. Which is hopeful. I would say that it actually met
Because I know like Instacart, you can put
So if you want to have
yeah, I guess. I guess you don't have to do that with this. But it's just free.
She's hopeful, I would say.
I'd say like for me, like I was getting on the scan and see if I was going to get $5 for so many of these you know, like they know it's
So even something, I would say even actually puts it
You guys off to get experience.
because they've ordered before.
yeah.
She could people do it right.
First time you do this,
Yeah, oh yeah.
So then I would say, because it is so they order a couple of those. She goes to pick up the order. That's what she does. Well, I think this is sure. But I think
That's the sign. I did
has tangible proof. That's actually what
and plus they're really good.
satisfying.
I don't want to think that I'm certified. I am.
She starts to figure out the story.
I love I started getting when I moved back, that was just like that's what she was. Yeah.
20 seconds. Yeah. All right, time ends up. Hands off. How'd you guys do? Is anybody a fan of the Great British Bake Off?
Oh, yeah.
This is like you're either passionate or you hate it.
I
Tried to convince my family at Christmas, and like, when will this thing over? I wanted to be one of their hosts, right? Because you used to say, time is up, put your bakes down, and break your concoctions. So we're baking up a little customer solution here for Joanna. Who would like to share? I know some of you guys were a little more creative than others in how you were going about this, but who would like to share a couple of their stories about how it worked for them, but also what some of the behaviors are? All right, don't all jump in at once.
This whole thing really made me want to go talk to Joanna.
Yeah,
It was, kind of felt dirty.
yeah, because you're guessing at this
Yeah.
point, right? So, and then, which is, we do that all the time, right? We assume, oh, I've been in this business for 20 years and I know how these customers think. And, you know, I'm a professional designer and I know how to do these things. And, you know, it's always easy to spot a well-designed product that was made for the designer and not for the customer, right? Because a lot of times the customer don't want all your fancy features. They just want the root part of the value proposition. So, yeah, you do never do this without zooming in. I gave you a lot of sort of background that you would have needed to get on your own. I remember at Intuit, we were talking to the product managers and they were all about getting empathy from customers, but the engineers building the software really weren't. And so I said, you need to take them with you out to visit. In our business, it was CPAs using enterprise software. And they're like, oh, I don't know. Those guys don't ever get out. You know, we don't put them in front of real people and real customers. And like, that's exactly why they need to go, because they need to see the chaos that happens on April 15th in a CPA's office. They need to know what happens when the system blows up and their printer cartridges go out. They need to know the pain that these people go for. And you guys, I'm again preaching to the choir, but remember one of our studies with CPAs, we sent them a photo diary and they said, you can answer these survey questions, but you have to upload a photo. You can't use any words. And then we brought them in and had them meet with some of our designers and product managers and said, okay, well, Mr. CPA, you just uploaded a picture of your cute two little daughters in a sleeping bag in a little tent in the living room, and mom's in there with them in the bag. And that was answering the question, please upload a photo that best describes your professional CPA practice or your business. And we're all scratching our head like, okay, camping in the living room, that's odd. So we ask him and he tells us, well, your software is what is necessary for me to run my business. If it doesn't work, then I don't have a business, my clients leave, I don't have income, which I take care of my family with, and my family is the most important thing in my life, and that's why I put a picture of them there, because that's why I have this business. And so we're just like, whoa, you know, that was not what we were expecting from an after-action survey that you did on a phone call, right? You know, that said, hey, your call center was too slow. So that's the kind of thing you need to start with Joanna, knowing her at that level to be able to answer these questions well. But so yeah, today was a little bit of let's practice and pretend. But yeah.
So for an activity like this, those who are participating, are those exclusively those who participated in those immersive studies, or is this also them plus stakeholders?
Ideally, but I think you want to index towards the people with the direct evidence from the outside research. It helps to bring people in though. We've done this at Capital One where you'll bring some people in that haven't been out there, and the folks that have will have the debate. And a lot of times it's the leaders that haven't been out. Ideally, you want to get the leaders out there too, but it's harder. So you have to educate the leaders, and sometimes it's quotes, it's videos, it's ways to get that emotion. I remember at Humana, every year we call it the Perfect Experience Summit, and we had like, I don't know, 2,000 to 3,000 directors and above in multiple sites for 3 days talking about perfect customer experiences. And for our section, we said, why don't we play some phone calls from the call center, because these guys weren't sitting with the reps every day. And so we had some really tearjerker phone calls, and then we had empathy discussions with them. But the more you can get the decision makers out of the office, I remember the CEO of Coke Latin America on an ad one time said, nothing good happens in a boardroom. And I would amend that to say, unless the customer's in the boardroom with you, because you're making decisions in a vacuum to a certain extent. So, but then you have to find ways. You can't take everybody with you. One customer, 200 designers isn't going to be a great experience. So how do you get the word out? And those, we kind of verbatim-thons or different ways to get empathy throughout the whole culture. Good question. All right, anybody want to share their loop? What behaviors were you looking for to get Joanna to passion? All right, you guys finish first.
Oh, we get to go first.
Yeah, share your behaviors.
Okay.
Well, we have our own personal
Joanna right here.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
here.
really? So you
I
use
don't mean to brag, but I'm the user.
It's funny because when we came up with this, literally they didn't offer it, and now I know people, everybody.
Yeah, I was saying when I lived overseas when I left, that none of this existed.
Yeah.
4 years later, I came home and it existed in where I was living in China, and I loved it.
Oh, really?
And I came home and it was like, I can do it here too. It's
Yeah.
not as easy, but that's okay. Ironically.
Yeah.
Okay, so the awareness side, we did the customer behavior as, just being aware of marketing while shopping at Walmart, also being on the app and seeing, because they're tech savvy, existing customer base. And then the intrigue would be looking at the app. What was that part?
We were looking at the app because she saw an ad on TV.
Yeah.
Saw
Then following
on the radio.
prompts.
She,
Okay.
marketing itself.
Yes.
Yeah, so one of
What
your
is-
leap of faith assumptions had to be, okay, she's aware of it now, but we actually have to get her to use the app. So
Yeah.
how do we do that?
Well, we're kind of seeing them in online shopping already
Okay.
at Walmart, and seeing either like a prompt to look for information on that additional product.
So trusting would actually do like a free trial
Yeah.
on the app
Taking advantage.
before
Okay, that's a
actually
good way
just
to see.
subscribing to it.
Create a new behavior by
Yes.
giving
Yeah.
them the
Right.
sample.
Let's try it out. Yeah.
And then the convinced would be maybe she's subscribing
Okay.
somehow or downloading the special app.
Amazon drives me crazy all the time. Push here and you'll get this every month.
Yeah, right. So, but doubling down. And then the hopeful is maybe that she's experienced it and saw that she's saved time from picking up versus going in and actually shopping. Satisfied is she's repeating the behavior, being a repeat customer, regular user, and then passionate posting her experience on social media.
Sharing it with others. Yeah, yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife got into this essential oil thing. You don't have to self-identify if you don't want to, but to me it's like a cult. But driving to Oklahoma to see family, I'm like, what's that smell? Open the windows. But it's just a little drop of something from the forest. I don't know. But her friend, she's like all into this now. She started her own business. She's doing like, she paid $20 to watch her talk about it for 30 minutes on Facebook Live. I'm like, people do that? But yeah, that's passionate, right? Where you just like, you're actually so passionate you started your own business from it. So very good job, guys. Did anybody have any questions on how this works other than the one team that I helped out? But not to point fingers to anybody, but you guys were like overachievers, actually. They were trying to do the whole thing. It takes more time, obviously, to do this whole thing. But, awesome. Let's keep rolling then. Oh, sorry, yeah.
So do you know how did they go about actually putting this out? Did you ever research into what were the marketing strategies, who did they target and stuff?
How Walmart did it?
Yeah.
I'm not a user, so I don't know. You probably know better than I. Sounds like they started in China.
Oh, well, I think maybe they did. But yeah, as far as how they started, I remember seeing.
I'm sure
At
it
the
was in
time.
beta test markets because I can't imagine they.
Yeah,
said,
they did.
Hey,
I think they
how
started
many
up in.
thousands of stores we have. Let's just go
Allen?
paint up the stripes and offer this thing. You know, it's
Yeah, I want to say they had the first stores that were doing it were in Allen and McKinney because my friends that were in that area were like, oh my gosh, you can do this. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. And then there was a lot of hiccups around how you selected things that you had to weigh, like tomatoes or like people were, oh, I don't like it because I didn't get to pick out my own apples or something like that. And so there was all tweaks around how you would buy it. Could you buy it by the apple, like by the pound? Like how does that work? Anyway.
Well, and we didn't talk about it here, but we have other tools where for each of these stages, you would brainstorm assumptions, things that have to be true for them to move to the next level. And that would have been a great leap of faith assumption, is that they will buy produce this way, because if they won't, then they might be out altogether. And so what is it we have to do to convince them? Zappos, when they started, it was like nobody would ever dream of buying shoes online, but what is it we have to do? Well, we have to make it free to ship it both ways, and you can buy 10 and only, keep the one you want. All those things to get rid of those barriers from moving them around.
Oh, I'll add that one of the things they did was so great is they made it interactive with Instacart, to where you're talking to your shopper, and if they didn't have Granny Smith apples, they would say, what's your second choice? Yeah. So what's your second choice? Oh, I'll take Macintoshes, I'll take whatever. And then you had to submit, yes, I accept.
Yeah.
Like, so you would get like a text saying, do you accept this substitution?
Okay.
And so, anyway, it got more interactive this time.
Yeah, that's almost a better experience than buying it yourself, because you feel like you have a personal shopper, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Are
You
you
do
doing
have to
it continuously, or is it just like intermittent, like if they only have a question, Like, it's not like a live stream of the shopping experience, is it? Or is it?
You can actually, like they would say, it kind of was, they would say, oh, they're almost through and they're picking up this now. They've checked, because they were checking off, I've picked up this, I've picked up that. You can see what they've already gotten on the list.
Yeah.
And so you know what they've already gotten. You kind of have an idea of how much longer they're going to be shopping. And that's like Uber Eats, like, oh, they're on their way. They're in transit,
It's a little icon.
So you're kind of stalking them, right? Awesome. Well, let's keep moving because we don't want to keep you here all night. But we want to go next and say we're going to zoom into just a couple areas. You guys are already zooming, so you may be done. But take the satisfied section first and then the passionate section. And you're actually going to do all three things there. So you've already done customer. Now you're going to have to start to think about what activities do you as a business need to do to make that behavior happen, and how would you observe it or how would you measure it? Questions? You get 8 minutes for this round. So you're going to do satisfied and passionate activities of the business and metrics to know that they've actually exhibited the behavior. All right, Jake.
So we had activities associated with making sure that after the shopping experience, it almost feels like looking at a subscription model. There's those things just to get
because like
That's why I feel that slow brains.
I have to call that. I'm in beta.
And that's
Actually, they add on the sheet, they add down.
They are going out on user survey afterwards.
especially
satisfied.
What are we gonna do to get what will we as you can put that, like a link at the bottom of their message. When they get their notifications, a link to post like I'll easily follow.
I just walked out so like I put dots on the left hand side. Look at
Something in it, but then one this is just like when I was
I don't know why. Where? Some of them, I don't know. It's the website. It's on my phone, and I don't have that up. And I'm like, this is not. Like it's sometimes like email. Or not logged So if they take, so I don't know what the difference is. If they take that, yeah, if I have to click on the extra button, it's fine.
All right, it is time to put your banks down and let the judges see the lights. You ready? I think it's on Netflix, so if you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's the Great British Bake Off, and watch one show, maybe one of the early ones. Don't go too far, put people off. We'll give it a one that are haters.
At least it's not upside down, man.
All right, who would like to share what they came up with this round? Thank you. Oh, You just shared, yeah, doesn't give you a benefit for everything.
Get involuntarily mental.
No, we said for the satisfied section, we'd set up a section where they could actually.
Can you guys hear over there?
Yeah, that we would actually set up a section on the website that would say that where they can actually ask to repeat an order or actually set up another order, so that way it would set them up for potential repeat customership. And then you could actually, the metric by which you could do that was actually set up a metric on the website that would track those customers that would create the repeat orders. For the passionate side, we said, originally we'd be posting on Facebook or social media format, but a way you could actually track that and actually get that to more would be creating something like a hashtag, something that would actually link to other social media platforms that would actually translate your message via those customers across multiple platforms rather than just straight your website. The metric would be how many mentions you would create on Facebook, how many likes you would get, how many hashtags were used. Tracking those simple metrics would kind of create a way to create meta-analysis, meaning allowing you to look at these large-scale objects and be able to push it forward.
Share that observation you had when I came over to your table.
Which ones are?
I think you were saying something about being frustrated.
I just walked out of a degree in applied anthropology at UNT, so my thing was always ethnographic research. It was being grounded in the culture or the group that you're trying to market to and actually trying to study. So getting out of that other right-hand side, that 4 through 1, is kind of one of those things where you want to entrench yourself, because that is who is the meat and potatoes of what you're looking at. They're going to be the ones using. They're going to be the ones providing you the gatekeeper to get you into the community. They're going to give you everything, and everything else is based on a set of assumptions on the other side, marketing, a lot of other things.
Yeah, and I think it's that idea of really nailing the problem. You've probably heard the term fall in love with the problem, not the solution. And we all love our solutions more than the problems. And I always like to say fall in love with the customer before the problem, because if you can't imagine not solving that customer's problem because they're so real to you, then you're probably going to design better. And that's why that right side is called the growth engine. You can be the best at marketing you want. And you saw that in the old days when there weren't choices among products. There were companies that brought marketing and crappy products. Now with their competition, they have really trouble doing that. So I remember when the first Fitbit came out, I wanted it at some conference, and it was this piece of little crappy thing you put here to measure steps. You had to plug it in with the USB cord, and it was just awful. And then now it's integrated into stuff, but that was an MVP, right? And there are some crazy extreme users that want to track their steps, and they'll jump through hurdles to do it, but it's not a mass market product until you make it easy and you start to learn it. We were talking during this about assumptions and fact versus assumption, and you should always have a backlog. Every one of these steps, you should have all these assumptions that say, do we know this for sure? Are we kind of sure? Or we don't have any clue? And when you pitch to leaders to get money to go build these things, you should be clear about that and said, we've run 2,500 experiments, we've nailed it. Or we've run a bunch of experiments, but it's 50-50. So if you're going to spend a lot of money, be careful. We just don't know yet. So
you'd be really successful at this, but how do we know that this actually is better for the business? What if this cannibalizes their other business, but it's more expensive to deliver?
The product itself.
Yes, the product itself. So
then you look at portfolio management and strategy and start to say, I remember working at this startup, and I was on an airplane next to Colonel Sergeant, some big shot with the military, and I was at a telematics company, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, Peugeot, Citroën. We were a startup, but we were competing with OnStar, and we had this great GPS before it was a big thing. We knew what was going on in their engines, and he was just fascinated and said, this was kind of coming off the first Gulf War. He's like, man, if we could put your technology in our weapons and in all of our logistics and know where everything was at all the time, I thought, oh man, I just sold the best account this startup's ever seen. And talking to the leaders and the CEO, he's like, yeah, but we're a consumer-based company, and it would take us so far away from focusing on these car companies to get into the military business. We're just not ready for that yet. And so that's a strategy decision you have to make. Okay.
How do you get buy-in or
cooperation from stakeholders when it comes to obtaining metrics?
Obtaining them, like, so you define the metric, but you need to be able to get it somehow. Yeah, I remember in the city, we were having the same problem, and this executive that I worked for at the time, he got so frustrated because they're like, well, we're gonna have to buy this software or build this thing, and it's gonna take 12 months. And he got so frustrated, he started pounding on the table. He said, I don't care if you need to get a chisel and a stone tablet and do tick marks. We need to measure this, and we can start with check sheets, and we can, if it's a really valuable metric, then we can systematize it and put it into software. So it's kind of the same approach with your scrappy MVPs. Have an MVP for the metric too. You shouldn't. We were doing, like, one team I was working with in pharmaceuticals, Facebook ads, and just trying to use Google Analytics and the Facebook stuff, but we didn't go outside the team at all because we could control it. Once you started jumping out there, then you're like, oh yeah, we'll put you in the queue and it'll be 12 years before we get it to you. So find a way to be kind of scrappy with it at first. Awesome. Well, we're going to keep moving. Great job, guys. You guys got this great. So I totally love an audience that this is easy for. Especially when you're challenging me to say, hey, we need more empathy from customers, because you really do. So that's a good lesson. This is some of the success stories I've shared along the way. This is something that meets teams wherever they're at. So I think feel free to use this tool. We've got a PDF download on our website. You can grab it, and I'll share the slides out too. But it's something that I think is pretty easy to teach people. And do it in teams, bring people in and challenge. Why do you know that to be true? What evidence do you have? Ask those right questions. I will leave you with a little gift. We are starting a new series of workshops in Dallas and then around the globe probably. But the first one's going to be here next month. It's a series of 3 one-day workshops. You can come to all 3 and get a certification, or you can just come to one or the other. But the first one is really an overview of what we did today, but much broader. There's some other tools I didn't have time for today. And then the second one is around metrics, we were just talking about. The third one is about leading this change. Like, what do you need to do as a product designer or somebody that's, trying to get your ideas sold? And how do you do that? How do you navigate that? So I'd love to offer you guys 25% off. So you go to the website down there at the bottom, and you can take a picture, I'll send it to you. Enter partner 25 and you get a discount on that. But I think we're going to have this over at 7-Eleven's Research Lab in Irving. So depending on where you come from, hopefully it's convenient. But that's kind of what we're talking about in the location right now. So I think that's it. So that's my email, my phone number, website, and happy to give you a card and talk to you later. But that's all I have.
Awesome. About 5 minutes of Q&A if you have any questions for Mike. And I know
I like to ask me anything, but we probably don't have time for that. So ask me anything about this.
No, if you guys ask me anything.
Oh, yeah, you want to talk
and we'll see if your TFU has some questions for us, but you'll be the star. So anyone have any follow-up questions? Any questions at all? You got them all answered?
I have a question on metrics. Oh, you got it. Sorry.
So how do you integrate this approach to all the type of research, market research that the company might be doing at the strategic level?
Yeah.
This is more kind of product level many times. So
Yeah. Actually marketing or
with market research.
Market research, yeah. So good question. How do you integrate this with more traditional market research? One of the things I loved when I was into it is our functions were merged. We had customer market insights, the product design group, and customer experience, and product process excellence, which was kind of 6 Sigma all together. So we had strategy meetings about what's the best tool. Do we want to spend $250,000 and hire Deloitte for 6 months, or do we want to go to Cincinnati for 4 days and use these kind of tools? And knowing that maybe our fidelity would be a little better with a 6-month wait, we'd have a broader sample size, but maybe the qualitative would be a little better if we did it more ethnographically. But I think those are kind of decisions you have to make. What I kind of get heartburn over is when there's a religious battle going on in the company about that's the wrong way to do research and that's the right way to do research. And you see that a lot from sort of the traditional market research teams that get, even with Net Promoter. I mean, I was one of the cutting edge guys on Net Promoter working with Fred Reichelt at Intuit. And then the traditional folks were like, oh, we have to have a 7-point scale and, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, we just want to take action. We want to get evidence, take action, test and learn. And the economy, the way it is now, if you're not moving that fast, especially when you're in the unknown, I think market research works really well in the known, but it's a little trickier in the unknown. And that's why I scratch my head like at the Super Bowl ads and like, okay, I don't know how much this is based on real evidence or not, but they spent a lot of money. So I don't know if there's a good answer for you, but it's kind of based. Ideally, you could go both ways, right? And say, hey, I'm a great market research person. I know how to do all the quant stuff, but I can also do qualitative, and I can bring in the product development folks at the right time to help me figure out when I need to do more quant. So
but qualitative research is also part of the market research tool kit, so it's not necessarily separate, but sometimes in the UX world, you get teams very much in the realm of the product area, and then there's a lot of strategic things happening around. It could be qualitative or quantitative, but not necessarily connected to the
I have an article I can send you on end-to-end experience ownership, and that's a challenge because most companies are so siloed that I remember getting to a bank that I was working with, and I said, well, who owns the end-to-end experience? And they said, well, we have product managers. So I'm like, well, what experiences do they have? Well, the mobile app is one product manager, and the website is another product manager, and the IVR for phone calls is a product manager, and the employee desktop experience is a product. So that's our products. The product is a loan, like a car loan or a home loan. So who owns that? Well, we all do. Nobody does. And that's where you get into those battles because there's not an air traffic controller watching all the planes and making sure they don't crash. You've got all these little sort of pilots making their own decisions. And ideally, you want to have some method of cutting through the silos like that because that's the way a customer sees it. So good question.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask how, when you're thinking about metrics, I think of just like a layman example, like the STAR test that kids have to take in Texas. So how do you safeguard like when the measurement becomes the goal? So like when you've got a client that wants a number so badly, but they're not thinking about the goal.
Yeah, I remember hearing a guy, I used to be a Aldridge National Quality Examiner, and they failed winning the award one year, and then they won it like 10 years later. And he said, the problem was we kissed the trophy. We were trying to win an award and not trying to become better. And so the award should be a byproduct of becoming better. And so that's really the whole idea. We talk about impact and value defined by the customer, not by the shareholder. It gets you shareholder value, but you've got to really ask what are the question that Intuit leaders always ask is, what's your validated customer learning or insight before they made any investment? And so it's a cultural shift thing. Do you want to look good for Wall Street for a quarter, and sometimes you have to do that, or do you want to build a growth engine that's going to get you 10 quarters or 10 years of growth?
I've heard that as maybe a critique of NPS in a sense too, because it's like
a lot of them are going for, I want the NPS. I remember sitting down with the guy in a call center when I started at this job, and he was getting compensated based on NPS, and I'm the biggest proponent of NPS. There's a lot of doubters out there, but it just has to be done the right way. And I said, so what do you need to do to get the top score on NPS? And he says, I don't even know what the top score is. I just get an average every month. And so he didn't know. And that was a total wrong thing. And then we worked with another team and said, okay, well, every time somebody gets a top score, we're going to ring a cowbell, and they're all going to stand up and clap. And there's going to be an email automatically generated from that survey that everybody gets, and they can read to see what you did. And all of a sudden, they're starting to talk to each other and say, oh, we need to do more of that and more of that. They all got better, and the numbers got better. So people love to play numbers games, but at the end of the day, you have to kind of have guardians of the metrics or they get out of control.
All right, last question. These are great. No other takers? Other one. Okay.
This, I don't know if you mentioned this before, but this value stream loop thing.
We call it the thing.
Method research. Did all your companies you work for use it, or did
no. I mean, this is sort of a lot of these ideas kind of came out of the lean startup community, and some of the work we did into it, but it seems to be pretty new when we go into most of our clients. You know, and they have bits and pieces, and marketing has their funnels and funnel metrics, and product has sort of product success metrics, but I've very rarely seen it go all the way around the loop. And that's why, to your point, you need people from all those functions in the room. That's why it was so successful what we did in Cincinnati at Humana, because we had never, in the 50-year history of the company, had a meeting like that, where there were people from every business unit, from every level of the company. We mashed them all up at tables like this, because they never talked to each other before. And then they went out on these missions to understand their customers and came back and started going through these loops. And it's just really powerful, but it's pretty rare, unfortunately. So it's kind of our mission is to help make it more normal.
Well, please do not forget to take the survey at the end of this. We do read all the responses, so please do it. And please thank you to my that everybody ate, and please take a sandwich on your way out. All right, have a great night. Continue to mingle and